everyone. Um, I am going to talk about something, part of my experience in northern Spain, that is sometimes very hidden, but I think it's very important to talk about. It is, and sorry, my neighbors, I talked about how there's always noise upstairs and downstairs. I will try to be recording at night or early in the morning just so that there isn't as much noise, and I will get a better microphone. Um, but decided I might as well put this out here just in case this is useful for anyone who's thinking about moving or not, or visiting. So, um, one thing that came up when I was going through all this stuff and paperwork that needed to be done while I was working on the immigration part of this was I remember this statement that Ali Wong made in one of her skits, I need a wife. So in her skit, it was something about, and I'm paraphrasing this improperly. Go look it up. I need a wife. Where she's like, "Do you know how successful I would be if I had a wife? That if I had someone who was folding all my clothes, ironing, making sure I ate well, telling me to go to the doctor. That do you know how successful I would be?" And there came a time where I was doing all sorts of things at the same time, and I said to myself, I need a wife. And I think this is the part of the labor of wives that is sometimes missing and not seen. This is not my first rodeo in the expatriate world. My dad's work moved him around countries. I believe we moved to 4 countries, 3 countries, where we'd work, live there for 3 years, come back to our home country. And it just seemed a lot smoother. Now, of course, in a child's eyes, everything seems smooth. But what I realized was that my dad had a wife. And the way the moves worked was both of my parents worked for the government. So every time my dad would move, my mom's job would be frozen. So let's say she was at a level 4. She would go, travel with my dad, come back in 3 years, start back at a level 4. Maybe the people she started with were at level 5 by then. She would continue, work for a while, get to level 5, maybe they're at level 6, then she'll travel again. They'll freeze it at level 5. She'll travel, come back at level 5, and then you'll keep on going like that. So it was at least a little bit better than outrightly having to quit her job to move with my dad each time. But it kept her career kind of somewhat sound. But the difference is, for example, they both started working at the same time. My mom retired at a level 12. My dad retired at a level 18. So there were costs there. Um, but another thing that made things work out was that my mom had my mom was doing all the logistics. So when she got there, she would schmooze around with the other families and figure out the best places to buy groceries, the best places to the schooling, the clothing, the like all the other stuff that my dad never had to worry about. My dad just kind of had to get to work, and that was his focus. And so all that labor was missing. Now, for me as a divorced mom, single mom of one child, I have to do all of that and work at the same time. So I would find myself spending so much time on research. And one of the problems I found with that was I was spending so much time figuring out and learning about northern Spain and what I needed to have and what I didn't need to have, that it took away from my time to learn Spanish. And I feel that my experience here is going to be so impacted by how much command of Spanish I have. So now I actually have to scale back on the research and double down on the Spanish just so that I can balance this out. And this is a balance that I have to do. Um, Registrations, school registrations, community registrations, getting my apartment, getting a car, all those kind of paperwork that I need to do, opening a bank account, which took me 2 hours and I still couldn't open the bank account. I didn't know that because I didn't have a particular ID card, which I will get in a while. Um, I didn't have my TIE. I had my NIE number, but I did not have my TIE, and they would not open a bank account, a free bank account, without a TIE. I didn't know that. Those are the kind of things where it's a lot of logistics that is taking more time because I don't know the ins and outs of the system. That if I had somebody else to do it, then it would take their whole day, and then I could focus on work. Now, I'm very fortunate. I have a boss that is very allows me to be flexible. And to be honest, I'm kind of working American hours anyway. So I'm working more in the afternoons and evenings. So I do take some like an hour or two in the mornings to do those kind of errands. But still, it is so convenient with the idea of having a non-working spouse doing this for you. And in most of the expatriate communities I see, many times one spouse is moving with the other. So one spouse has to give up their job, move with the other, then probably spend 3 months trying to find a new job. So while they're trying to find a new job and have that flexibility, they can do all these logistics, errands, school runs, things like that. They can figure out the system so that everybody can get into a pattern, and then they start their new job. So, so I see two ways. I see either people with families, like couples with their kids, or single people with no kids. So I'm kind of in a little bit of the middle, and so it's an interesting dynamic that I have. And I've had, and I went back to think about this in how it was in the United States because I've been divorced for a little bit, about 3 years now. And why is this feeling different? Well, I already had my system set up in the United States. So I never had to do all these registrations all at a go. I had to do one driver's license once every 4 years and change my internet provider once every year. And whatever it is I needed to do, I maybe once a month at, at if it's a busy year, once a month I had to go do an errand. But it's not something that I had to do like four things and I had 3 months to get it done. Um, so it's a little different, but yeah, that's that says a lot about the untold support that the non-working spouse of an expat gives that sometimes is not recognized and appreciated, and quite frankly makes it possible. Because if you had to do this yourself alone all the time with your kids, or sometimes even by yourself, a lot of people would not do it. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't travel because of the work it takes to travel. So, yay, you expat wives. And now I'm meeting a few expat husbands. Um, Props to you.